What is your did it before it was cool thing? I read The Martian back when it was just a text file on some backwater website. Now that is interesting. How did that happen? I ordered Nirvana's Bleach on cassette before Nevermind came out. Saw in a magazine that they were supporting Sonic Youth, and Daydream Nation was my favorite album at the time, so that was enough of an endorsement for me. I was the coolest 14-year-old in New Zealand for, like, 2 months. Then Smells Like Teen Spirit came out, and I spent the rest of my teenage years declaring that I liked them before they were cool. Nobody cared. And I still miss Kurt. Edit, I was also the first person in my hometown to know about Wu-Tang Clan. I had to order the cassette from the US. Probably had to dub 20 copies from it for all the other kids at school. Man, I wish I was still that tip skeptical. You still are, and we all miss Kurt. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it anymore, and what's it seems weird and scary. Abe Simpson. I needed an invite code to make my Gmail account. I needed a Edu account to have Facebook. Back when 1 GB of space in an email account was life-changing. When I was a young kid, my dad brought home a Fairchild gaming system, and I got addicted to playing video games like Pong and Breakout on my home television. This would have been 1976. During that time I was in college. At a party one night someone turned on Pong on the TV. The room got quiet as we all watched 2 people play the game, fascinated by it. One of the OG gamers deleted my Facebook due to privacy concerns. In 2004. That was around the point Mark boasted about reading everyone's messages, calling people who trusted him dumb fucks. Way ahead. I was a big fucking nerd and gamer in the late 80s and 90s. What's funny is in 2000 I went to an EverQuest Guild meetup in Toronto and Customs was incredulous. You're coming to another country to meet people you met in a video game online. Asked like 10 times in different ways. Then in 2008ish I went to Toronto again for a, then wow, meetup. Why are you coming to Canada? World of Warcraft Guild meetup. How long are you staying? A week. Enjoy your visit. I went to an anime/manga convention in Toronto in 1998. They couldn't even get a proper space. It was spread out over various rooms somewhere near U of T if I recall. They used some small lecture rooms as screening for movies. Night and day compared to what conventions were by the 2010s. Do you really have to answer questions like that honestly? I mean, how the fuck would they know? I don't mean to brag, but I bought the Popeyes chicken sandwich like a week or so before it exploded in popularity and people started killing themselves for it. I did this too. I happened to go into Popeyes and I wanted their shrimp po' boy. They were out of shrimp and suggested trying the chicken sandwich. I thought it was okay, then a week or so later the line was an hour long. I got one on a whim about 48 hours before it was trending. Good sandwich, great for fast food. But not worth a long wait. I had a fidget spinner on my desk for about 6 months before they blew up. At that time they weren't being mass-produced at all. You pretty much got them 3D printed or laser cut from acrylic. I thought they were neat and sent them to my dad and brothers for Christmas. I still have my first one on my desk. It's laser cut neon yellow acrylic. Same, my friends and I made fidget spinners around the same time with zip ties and cheap skateboard bearings. We made a killing of them before they were mass produced. I bought a box of 200 fidget spinners from China for $150 right before they got popular or were in any stores. The timing was perfect. They started getting popular and I sold them on Craigslist and eBay for $10 each. Geocaching. My friends and I were doing it with a Palm 3 with the GPS attachment back in 2000. Is it still popular? I haven't heard about it as much anymore. Last I read, someone on Reddit said she hated how people would find the boxes and just take what was inside without replacing it. My dad and I got into geocaching in 2001. We had a few instances where police came by to see why we were snooping around in weird places, and we'd have explained geocaching to them. Storage unit auctions before 2010, when the Storage Wars show first started, you could find auctions with a few bidders, mainly pawn shop guys, but find smaller ones on the cheap for furniture, especially during my cheap college years. Show up, place a bid for $20, get a couple end tables, bed and chair. Thanks to that show, everyone thinks they'll hit the jackpot, as if people who default on their units all leave behind 1940s memorabilia or something. Bids skyrocketed beyond comprehension on or around 2011, it just hasn't been worth it since then. Most the stuff is junk, people. The TV shows are fixed and edited. It's not worth it thinking something is always hidden. People with valuables many times put that in a safety deposit box, not a storage shed unit. I feel bad for the college kids who not only can't get decent apartment rent levels, but also can't get furniture on the cheap from storage sheds like I used to, simply because of the false expectations from a fixed TV show. I know a guy that used to own a storage complex. That damn show was a thorn in his side. He'd have people showing up demanding to know when his next auction was. He said prior to that, whenever he'd announce an auction, the same 4 to 5 guys would show up. They all knew each other, and they basically had a gentleman's agreement to each go home with a unit as cheaply as possible, without running up the bids. After the show, it was a shit show. Tons of people showing up, driving him nuts. The mentality used to be out with the old, in with the new. People wanted to get rid of stuff and didn't know or care if it had any value. For things like records or video games, most people figured it can't be used, it's worthless, and as a result a lot of that stuff could be bought for peanuts. But those shows, along with a lot of YouTube channels, have increased awareness that anything can have value, while also kind of looking at the past through rose-colored glasses. So you've got increased interest in nostalgia, but also more people who think their crap is worth more than it actually is. Not really a cool thing, but back in the 80s I worked at a resort where we paid ridiculous amounts for things like toilet paper, paper towels, and other consumables to be delivered. The newly opened Sam's Club had way better prices, but we didn't have big enough vehicles, or the time, to go pick supplies up on a regular basis. So I just walked up to the manager and told him things like we spend $13,000 a year on toilet paper and other details, and how it would be nice if they delivered. He thought about it, crunched some numbers, and a few days later he called us and said they would do it. The manager later told us he got all kinds of kudos from his management for thinking out of the box, and that they were going to start offering this service in other locations. So yeah, I did that. I'm trying to reconcile a $13,000 toilet paper budget with a $0 truck budget. Did you also get some kudos, or did your manager not even mention your name? Big Chungus was my profile pic for years before it became a meme. This has to be the biggest flex here. Please PM. I've been streaming movies since 1999. I bet you download cars. Bitcoin mining in 2014, but sold it to buy a phone case. Bitcoin is ban topic at my parents' place. Dad used to pay for a VPN service with 2 bitcoins a month back when it was worth 0.48 or so used. Yeah, I paid someone 12 bitcoin for a Minecraft skin when I was 14. I used to record with a VCR when I played Mario Bros. 2. When VCR recording came out, I thought, hey, I could record whatever is on the TV, right? It worked. I was floored. I ended up watching the tape once and thought it was the coolest thing ever. This was on a huge furniture tube TV that sat on the floor and only had a few channels you selected with a dial. So, I pretty was a Twitch streamer before it was cool. The only minor difference was I didn't make millions of copies and mail them out to the masses. Minor. I did the same thing, playing through the entirety of Metal Gear Solid and filming it like it was a movie. If I screwed up or died or whatever, I would rewind and start over. I had the whole game beginning to end on I think 6 VHS tapes. I had a broken leg at the time, so that was how I made my own fun. As a streamer, if you'd send out 5 copies to friends, you'd do better than I do on a good night. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.